Greetings, this is Charles Darwin, and I'm speaking to you from the end of the world. Well, it might be the end of the world. We're going to talk about that. We are near Picher, Oklahoma, and what you see here is some catalpa trees growing, which only can happen if there's plenty of rainfall. And yet what we see here is a big pile of what looks like gravel, only it's been like this for a long time. What we are seeing here is the toxic wastes left over from the processing of ore in the town of Picher, Oklahoma, for lead and zinc extraction. So the reason you don't see forests here is because of the high levels of lead and zinc in the waste piles of refuse here. Is this what the end of the world will look like? Maybe. In 1913, Picher, Oklahoma was a boom town for mining of lead and zinc. Half of the lead and zinc used in World War I came from here. Then productivity declined. Mining stopped in 1967. So it's possible that this pile has been here since 1967. And the reason the trees are not growing on it is because it's toxic. A few people have continued to live here, even though most of the apartments and the school have closed down. A public health survey in 1994 showed that 35% of kids had toxic levels of lead in their blood when they lived here. And then in the early 2000s, this town shut down. It's now a hazardous waste site. I'm showing this to you through the bars of a blockade put up by the United States government to keep people out. And so this is the best I can show you. This is how it happened. With such a concentrated deposit of metals, there were fortunes to be made in lead and zinc. And the question is, by whom? The first answer is the fortunes were made by the company executives, not by the miners themselves. And the second is that the fortunes were made by the company executives and not by the people who lived around here. This is primarily Native American land, and it belongs to the Quapaw Nation. There's still a few people who live here, and they fly the American and the Quapaw tribal flags. And the executives made fortunes, the miners earned salaries, but the wastes were dumped, as usual, on people of color. This was not the only time that Native Americans had their land devastated by mining. Ducktown, Tennessee, in Cherokee, traditional Cherokee territory before the Trail of Tears, and in their removal in 1838. And the smelting of copper produced acid rain, which killed a lot of the forests around. They started to grow back because acid rain will wash away. The same is not true of the lead and zinc contaminants in the soil. So let's just hope that this is not what the end of the world is actually going to look like, that instead we've learned our lessons about pollution and about recycling. This is Charles Darwin telling ho, and amen.